Welcome back. Happy Friday. It is an amazing, amazing day here in New York, and I'm hoping that you get a little bit of time to step out, enjoy the crisp fall weather, be with family, be with friends, whatever, or even time alone if you need. But it's those last few days where you can actually get out and enjoy the weather and enjoy the outdoors, so make the most of it. This week, there were a couple of things that came up for me. And as you know, whatever comes up in the week is what kind of gets me thinking. And this Monday, I got a video from a very dear friend of mine, and it was a talk by John Oliver. He's one of my favorite show hosts, TV show hosts, and he had talked about, I think the previous night, he had talked about PFAS, and these are polyethylene fluoride alkaline some substances, right? And we all know that these PFAS are seen in the coating of Teflon, and DuPont knew about this, and they've kind of discontinued. We all know not to use Teflon anymore because it can be carcinogenic, all kinds of things. And John Oliver talked a lot about how, when one substance is banned, the companies find another way, they call it another substance, and it's the same thing being used again and again. And he talks so much about even brands that we think really highly about, like Lululemon, actually use these PFAS in the clothing because that doesn't allow for water to stick on. And it was the same time where a lot was happening with Facebook and Instagram. If you don't know, they have a whistleblower that came out and talked about how a lot of what they've been doing, especially on Instagram, has been affecting the mental state of teenagers, where they're constantly comparing, there's body shaming, and to the point where they're having mental breakdowns. And of course, the whistleblower talks about how Facebook has known about it and did not really do much about it. Facebook says they're doing the best they can. And it really got me thinking. It got me thinking about the state that we're in right now. I mean, of course, if you look at corporations, right, we know that greed is such a big motivator. Be it the pharma industry with the opioid crisis, be it technology companies that know what kind of addictive platforms they're creating. Be it video game companies where they know violence, when we kind of see violence again and again, what it does to our mindset. Clothing companies, food companies, cornstarch everywhere, and yet knowing completely well the impact it has on humanity, we still go ahead. And it's easy to say corporates are greedy and greed is driving us, but at the end of the day, it's companies, it's people, right? It's not really an entity that does not exist. And it got me started, it got me thinking about what happens with our value system. We all grow up with a certain, parents, teachers, friends, uncle, aunts, imbibing certain amount of values on us, right? Don't do to others that you would not want something done to you. Be honest, be a good human being, do the right thing. And as we grow up, sometimes these values, whatever these values for us might be, get tested, right? We come up against a little bit of a boundary. Let's say that, one of our values is to always be honest. And then you get caught red-handed by your teacher about something that you've done. And your instinctive reaction is, no, I didn't do it. And it becomes a little bit of a white lie. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but just notice what happens with our value system. The moment it comes up against something that we cherish even more, it could be our survival, it could be greed, it could be success, it could be relationships, whatever it is, when it comes up on something that we really, really, really want, just see, do you stick on the side of your value, or do you kind of start negotiating a little bit with yourself? This time it's okay, it's fine, one time it's all right, next time it's a little bit more of a slippery slope, it's okay, this time it's okay too, it's not, it's not really harming anybody. Look at the self-talk we start having, and very subtly start negotiating with ourselves about our principles. I remember a friend of mine from Wharton saying many, many years back, and now he's an amazing coach, and he's saying, Ruchika, it's easy to have principles and values until they're tested. And a lot of times, our values and our principles are being tested. As an employee, you see your employer doing something that is not right. Do you just put your head down and say, you know what, it's okay, it's not my job, I'm not senior enough, I don't make a difference? Or do you say something to try and make a difference? Or like, even in a group, somebody is bullying somebody else in a good hearted way, they think, but you can see the other person's feeling uncomfortable, they're not really liking it. Do you join the group think and laugh along and be part of the in circle, or do you stand up for the person who may not be feeling so comfortable? Right? And if you think, you know what, honesty is a big thing for me, but it comes up against success, do you let go a little bit of honesty to kind of go towards success? These are just questions we need to ponder about, because it's not a company that makes these tough decisions. It is human beings. It's you and me who are making these decisions. And we're being tested on a daily basis. And how we do on those little moments of truth becomes a muscle memory when big things happen. You know what? Few $1 billion of profitability or doing the right thing. It's not easy, because few $1 billion, your share price goes up, you're a billionaire, you're super successful, you're the Forbes watch out person. On the flip side, what has happened to the so many lives that you've impacted? So this was one that has been playing on my mind, and I was thinking about this is, how do we think about what is right and wrong when we are pushed in a corner, right? We really want to be successful, but we also know it may not be the right thing. We really want people to like us, but we're doing things that may be a little bit more sneaky or underhanded, right? Again, for the same thing that we want to be liked. How do we come to an equilibrium and be at peace with it? And a couple of ways that I was thinking about it. If I don't want somebody to do that to me, then I have no business doing it for anybody else, no matter how much profitability, no matter how much success lies at the end of that tunnel, right? If I don't want people serving me things that are not good for me, I should be doing that for other people. The second thing is, a lot of times what happens is we don't think of the other person as part of us. So again, think of it, forget yourself. So let's say, would you do what you're doing to humanity, to your own family, to your own loved ones, to your own children, right? If you wouldn't do it to them, then why would you think it's okay to do it to anybody else, right? So those two filters, I think, are really important. And the third thing is, what can you sleep with at night? Sometimes when we make these very micro decisions, it seems like it's not a big deal. It's a white lie, it's not a big deal. And then the next time you make another white lie, until it doesn't even prick you anymore. And you've moved so far away from what you believed in, stood for, that you can't even recognize the person you've become. So just watch for it. It's a very slippery slope. And a few months, years later, you might find yourself in a situation where you're like, how did I land up here? So again, watch for yourself. If something is pricking you, don't, as much as possible, negotiate with yourself. Don't beat yourself down, but just recognize a prick is coming because at a deep level, your conscience is not comfortable with it. And if it's not comfortable, don't rationalize it for yourself. Just recognize, understand that it is in conflict with something that you believed in, deep down that you know is the right thing to do, and move towards the right. There is so much freedom in doing what is right and aligning with your values, whatever they might be. And if your values, success at all costs, that's fine, but then embrace it 100%. If it is making money at all costs, that's fine too, right? But just recognize first what your value is. Are you aligned to it? Are you negotiating with it? And some of these filters on how do you not negotiate? Because the moment you start negotiating, you're creating stress and friction in the system, right? You're creating a thorn in the system. And we all know when there's a little bit of thorn in our hand, even if it's a tiny little one, it really pricks. So can you imagine when there's a thorn in our consciousness, what happens to us? It does not let us be at ease. And in my experience, if you can stay aligned with your values, whatever they might be, they give you so much power. It does not matter, because you standing for them, standing behind them, becomes the energy that propels you. So I'm just going to pause over there and see if you have any questions. I don't know if I have answers for it. I just have more questions today as to how we navigate things like this, because it definitely has been an issue, and it's amazing for me to watch how far we have come on the spectrum of greed, how far we have come on the spectrum of success, and we're willing to do it at the cost of harming another individual. So, with that, I am going to see if there are any questions, any comments that are coming up. I would love to see if there are any. I see a few of you here, so it's good to see you here as always. And if there are comments, let me know so I can actually see the comments, or even thoughts that you have, or things that you have struggled with as you have been tested on things that you think are the right things to do, and then what you land up doing in reality. I don't see any comment as yet. I don't see a question either. So if not, I'm just going to leave you with a thought. And if there are thoughts that you have, you can always comment on this later. And I'll see you again next Friday. And next Friday is a really big day for us. As you know, we're going live with the Winked app next week on Friday. So hopefully when I join you next week, it will be when our app is live in the Google Play Store and in the App Store, and we'll have a lot more to talk about, okay? So on that, enjoy, have a great, great, great weekend, and I'll see you again next Friday. Bye.